What is up, and welcome back to Beyond the Arc with Brandon Silvers. As always, I am your host, Brandon Silvers. So, a couple of weeks ago, I did an episode about the NBA's popularity problem. How big of an issue is it really? What are some of the factors that might play into it? Things like that. I'll link it in the show notes so you can check it out. YouTube comments are very much hit or miss, but I got one on that video that drew a line between the disappearance of the center position and fan interest that really got me thinking. That commenter said that he was willing to come on and talk about it. And lucky for us, he's got some first-hand knowledge to share. Former McDonald's All-American who went on to be named first team All-Big 12 during his time at Colorado, where he is still the all-time leader in block shots. He was then drafted in the first round of the 2004 NBA draft by the Indiana Pacers. Very excited to chop it up with none other than David Harrison. David, man, how's it going?
Oh, going really well. Thank you for having me on.
No, thank you for coming on. So I want to take a look at this problem through the context of your own career. First, I want to read the comment you left. It said, quote, "The moment the NBA shifted was Stern removing the center as an all-star position. That, with Curry, the most impactful player to how the game is played since Wilt. The three-pointer is great, but it lessens the amount of aggression that brings the fans out. You were clearly a very talented big man in your own right. Also, you came from a pretty athletic family, so let the people know your family's athletic resume first before we get into your journey into hoops."
So I'm going to start with I have 11 brothers and sisters. And I just don't want to say the professional ones. The most impressive one was my sister, Diane. She was a track. She had a scholarship at LSU. She's currently a lawyer, wonderful husband, wonderful life. But Diane never played basketball her entire life. She never played. Senior year, went out for it and averaged like 19 and 19. Like, wow. Legitimately, like, finished and like missed basketball running. Like, she of all of them, she was my most athletic sibling. But my dad, he played 10 years NFL. From there, I went to Colorado with my older brother DJ. He ended up playing overseas. Myself. My little sisters, everyone's pretty much had a D1 scholarship from softball. My little brother played basketball, smaller school, but, D1. And then my sister Isabel, she's currently in the WNBA. I love watching her play. And then the baby, the last one, Dory, unfortunately, she had some problems her senior year, but, she's playing. She just got done with the league down in Mexico, MVP.
Wow.
So, we love sports. Sports it's our family tradition.
I will say my girl is a big-time Chicago Sky fan, so put that out there. We definitely watch a lot of your sister hooping too. So, huge athletic family. You're a 7-footer, as I said. When were you like, okay, David is certainly taller than the rest of the kids who are playing sports?
That happened overnight. It felt like, I was always one of the taller kids, not always the tallest. So I left 8th grade at like 6'2".
Okay.
And then I woke up in 9th grade at 6'10". Like literally, like my mom says I went home and I slept on the couch all summer. And I still remember I walked into my school, Brentwood Academy, Darius Garland, VA. When I was there, it was just a football school, but we've made a little change. Brandon as well. But I walked into the school and I hit my head right in the door. And that's when everything was just like, yeah, you're tall now. I was chasing one of my buddies around. We're just horsing around, and I was running after him through the door and just smacked my head right in the door.
Wow. Yeah, I bet the basketball coach heard that and took off running out his office to come find you.
That's the thing, though. I was a football player at that time.
Okay.
If you were to ask anyone from my school or anyone that know me, that David's going to go, he's a football. I defensive end, tight end. I loved football. Basketball, I had to learn it. So here's my basketball outage story. I'm in 8th grade. I'm at Brentwood Academy, and my dad It was a high school wrestler. He won state, I think, like 4 years in a row. I wanted to be a high school wrestler. I wanted to do what my dad did. I sucked. I was a horrible wrestler. But one of his friends, a man named Ray Dalton, great man, God rest his soul. Basically, he's letting me. He's humoring me. He could do it eventually. You know what I mean? But I'm not good. The basketball coach, they had a conversation behind my back, like we need to get him where he can, do something. And they were playing a big guy that week, and they wanted me to step up and sim. Be the big guy on the practice team, and you're helping. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And we played. I got to sit there, and they won. And I showed back up for wrestling, and Coach Dalton standing in front of the restroom door. He goes, "Son, you need to go up them stairs to that gym. This place ain't for you." So, from there, that's when it was just like, okay, this is my thing. And that was the thing I found with basketball. Wrestling, football. My dad. You're in your dad's shadow a bit, but basketball allowed me to step out of that, and then that's kind of what I found with that.
That's crazy. The wrestling coach wasn't a fan of the Big Show, I guess.
He played football. He played basketball.
Okay.
Kevin Nash, the Undertaker, used to play against Fly Slamma Jamma and stuff. He lived in Tennessee, in Dixon. Kevin Nash played at UT. So
because I want to say, was it the Big Show who played at Wichita State? I feel like one of them played at Wichita State. I know one of them played.
I thought Kevin Nash played at University of Tennessee, but it might have been Wichita.
I gotta get up to date on my.
We got Google.
That's true. I gotta get up to date on my hooping WWE crossover. So that's actually interesting, because I was gonna ask if you noticed a difference in how coaches treated you when you were younger, if you showed up on the court as the tallest player. But you showed up as the tallest player, but you were there late. So were you immediately thrown into the post like, David, this is what you're doing, buddy?
I mean, the thing is, when you look at it to where the game is now, the way I was trained to play basketball, if you do that to a kid now, you're handicapping. But
yeah.
The rules for me were, unless I see color under my feet, don't shoot the ball, don't dribble, don't do like you run, you do this, you do that, and I like that because, like I said, I played football. I wanted to run the floor and hit somebody, and that was, for me, I was like, I fell in that role really well. But today, though, I see kids, Wimanyana, kids like that. They may be broken because of they're skinnier. They're not as physical by that type of mentality and training. So the game has evolved to where I still remember, I call it the shot heard around the world, when Andrew Bynum shot the three and then Phil Jackson pulled him. Think about that. Phil Jackson, the most forward-thinking coach and all that other stuff. Bynum probably shouldn't have shot that three, you know what I mean? But look at the NBA today. Karl Anthony Towns is probably the leading end three-point shooter right now,
Yes.
So it's just like I'm saying, you even see that mentality when Bynum was playing. You see that, it was like, the crazy thing was overnight, you're starting to see center footers doing hook shots from the 3-point line. It was no slight move forward. Dirk Nowitzki redefined, big man shooting, and all that other stuff. But, there's just so many different, but like I said, it just felt like it was just overnight. And I think that overnight was, there's no more center positions in the All-Star because there's no ability for you to play center and be an All-Star. I mean, you see Gobert, Rudy needs to work on his offensive game.
He looks a little rough.
Just tell him to dunk everything, Rudy, or don't shoot it. but at the same time, and I would say Rudy Gobert would have probably done better in my version of the NBA because they were more bigs. He'd be more like you know what I'm saying? He wouldn't have to stretch out and guard. It wouldn't be as taxing it is. I mean, dude's amazing. But I mean, it's just the game is spread out. It's gotten faster. And people say it's boring. And I'd say it's boring for two things. You don't turn on sports to see kumbaya, to see people having fun. You turn on sports to see physical aggression. I mean, you take this all the way back to the Romans, the Colosseum. Like that was the original sport, and this is what it modified. Instead of us dying at the end of the game, we get to live now.
Just go win, yeah.
but
That would be crazy.
But that's what they came to see, and that's what the people still come to see. When I was playing, I was like, hey guys, why can't we fight like hockey? All these people have all this stuff to say. They want to be all bad. Well, let's just have fights like hockey. And when I say that, like, do you know how bad those fights will get? And I'm like, yeah. But at the same time, in one sport you have, in another sport you don't. And I would say this. I would say it's like NASCAR. People watch NASCAR for the wreck. And hockey, I would say people probably watch hockey for the fight.
For the fights.
And in basketball, it's not the fight, the aggression. And I would say they showed it. They took the dunk out of the game. Their ratings went down. They're like, got to bring this back. People watch basketball for people watch sports to see other people do things they can't do.
Correct.
That's why they watch sports, and that's why I love the WNBA. That's why I feel they have that problem. They don't differentiate themselves to hey, I can't do that. I can do that. You know what I mean? But then there's like lower the rim, and I'm like, that'd be a great idea. Seeing them out there dunking, like people would go to see that, but I don't want to go down that road.
I'm anti lower the rim for the record, but we will not go down that road.
Yeah.
We will talk, because you're right. I love seeing people who were different than me in terms of giants battling when I was growing up. Like, I loved Olajuwon. I know we talked beforehand. You were a Shaq guy. These giants who were battling in the post, and Olajuwon kind of felt like at the time he was the first guy who did a little something extra.
Oh, Hakeem's footwork. I mean,
yeah,
you can't. There is no one in the league today. Like you see, Jordan was mimicked by Kobe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
No one's even mimicking. I would say Joel has it. MB, he has the shifties, but like he doesn't use it like Hakeem did. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. So, because that's something that drives me crazy. Because I'm like, dude, you're huge. I don't know if it's a health thing with him. He's trying to stay healthy, or yeah, and he doesn't want to, like, I don't go in the post because I'm trying to stay healthy or what. But I see him. I thought he was going to be Hakeem 2.0. Maybe that was a lot to ask for, but he's got a little bit of that. And then you don't see it. He'll be out there, like you said, shooting threes. And I'm like, or Wemby, who, as you mentioned too, a guy who might not have the build yet to do all that, but you're 7'4" and you're shooting threes. It just irks me as a fan to see a guy kind of negate his biggest advantage. How do you see it as a former big man when you see these big guys on the perimeter shooting threes, and that's like their main weapon?
As main weapon, like Shaq has the same approach. Main weapon, no. You even hear Shaq say, you already shot like two of them, get your butt down in the post. You know what I mean? Like, if you're hitting, if you're hitting, why, you know what I mean? But like, I don't like seeing them struggle on the arc. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like that's where it's like, dude, you're not out here for that,
Yeah.
But at the same time, when they're out there hitting, I mean, I said this years ago, and Wembanyama I go, you're going to find a 7-footer with some James Harden stuff, and that's what you that's what you got with Wembanyama, and it's going to redefine basketball. I mean, Wembanyama, when you watch him on defense, he guards the entire court legally. I mean, it's just like I got to watch him play. I got to shake his hand. I'm 7 feet tall. This guy shaking my hand like this. I mean. You can't just say go to the post to him. He's too skilled. But yeah. I completely agree with what you're saying. Seeing Embiid struggle on the arc, it's just like back in the day with the face up. This is in the post. If you could jab step face up and hit somebody like that, that was the old school 3-point shot in your face. I own you at that point. You can't do anything to me because you know what I mean? That's what that was. If you did that over and over again and missed, you came out of the game. You know what I mean? So it's just like seeing like an Embiid or I mean, another great person I love playing, Joker.
Yeah.
Like seeing them out there and they're hitting, Joker shot him way above his head, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? But like they're out there hitting, you can't fault them because when you look at it statistically, it's better to take a two than a three than a two. Um, but like our advantage is we're supposed to be hitting at a high clip because we're shooting so close. And therein lies because like for me, I always had a high field goal percentage. I always I think it was like the Pacers like rookie record, which if I said that out loud, they'll probably be like trying to get it broken. but I always shot a high percentage because like I said, that was my advantage. But like I said, if you're out there hitting, you're working on your game and stuff. I just like I said, to you, I don't like seeing them struggling out there like that. Because for me, as a center, I'm going to say, I've missed two of these. I'm going to pass the ball and get him open and see if he can hit. And I'm going to get my butt under the rim and get the rebound. And I'm going to dunk it and get the rebound, But that's the thing. I don't see them transitioning themselves through the game and they're just living and dying on the arc. And I think that's part of the problem.
Okay, I'm going to try to see if you can help me pinpoint how this kind of evolution went in the big man. So we just talked about Hakeem, listed as a 7-footer, but widely believed to be about 6'10". And I remember back in the day, if you had a guy who was within 5 inches of 7 feet, he was a 7-footer. That was that. So the first guy I remember lying the other direction, Kevin Garnett.
I'm 6'11".
Yep. Because he didn't want to play center.
Mm-hmm.
So what role did KG play in that? Oh, just because I'm 7 feet, I don't necessarily have to go on the block and play the 5.
Remember Alonzo Mourning in Charlotte when he was the Hornets? Yes. He shot further out, shot through. You know what I mean? I would say that was like a flash in the pan for a traditionally rolled center to be able to show other skills sets. Okay. And then I would say, from there you have the problem is you have the nuclear missile of Shaq. Like, I don't care, Wemby, you're not in Wemby and Shaq's NBA, you're gonna foul out, or your arm's gonna be broken. You know what I mean? Like in Shaq's NBA, Wemby, he's gonna kill you. Like he's going to crush you. He's going to destroy you. He's like all of you bigs, all of you. He was a nuclear missile. Like he changed. Like you had to have 4 7-footers on the floor on your team just because he's going to score 100 points unless you just have him drag these guys up and down the court all night. Like that is like you had to have that. So like that flash in the pan of Mourning and things like that. We got to protect ourselves from these nukes. You know what I mean? Like this. We'll deal with this later. You know what I'm saying? And then as Shaq aged and everything's tradition, that's when I thought you start seeing the Brandon Bass eras of undersized centers, people that were just big, being able to take a beating down low, hold up the guy. You know what I mean? But had a shot, could stretch the floor. Could do that other certain role, and then you found, and like I said, I think it was like a microcosm. And then when Steph just unlocked the power of the 3-pointer, I think that was, if you're shooting it, I should shoot it situation. But like I said, I don't know if you can like say this.
There's one thing,
but I would say what opened the floodgates was how Steph just changed the game completely. That's what opened the floodgates of it all. But there's been so many play, like you said, like Garnett, Duncan. He was a power forward. Center. You know what I mean? That was an all-star thing. If you were in the East and Shaq was in the East, you had one other center spot that you were going for. But like I said, I feel transition of having the center not being an all-star position made it less coveted. Nobody's doing it. No one's playing that role. And you're seeing it and I would say that would be part of the, hey, I don't like, these big guys out here shooting three. All that stuff kind of ties in together just to, that one moment.
So, first of all, I like this idea that you've put forward that I'd never really considered before about how this evolution might have happened sooner if not for the fact that Shaquille O'Neal existed.
It's like dinosaurs. Like if dinosaurs never went away, there would be no mammals. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We got to bring in Todd McCullough and whoever to guard him. So that's an interesting thought right there, because I don't know if you didn't watch the league at that point. I don't know how to explain how dominant that dude was, and you just had guys on the roster who just had 6 fouls, just to have a prayer, and just incredible. But the All-Star center, I want to know what your thought is behind why David Stern went away with it. I know the last year with a center was 2012. I thought it was related to backlash of, no disrespect to this guy who I enjoyed watching, Jamal McGlure.
Kentucky legend.
Yes. One of the first Canadians to come over and dominate. But that actually happened so much earlier than this change was made. So I was wrong. Shout out to Jamal McGlure. What do you think went into Stern's decision-making behind, like, okay, we don't really need this as an all-star designation anymore?
I would say, so when you look at like NBA is a business, right? And when you look at, if Shaq comes to you, well, it's like, if Shaq's like, hey, wear these shoes, you're going to be like, those shoes aren't going to fit me. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. The center position is the least marketable one, in my opinion. We can sell stuff to each other, I fit in this car, you should too, but at the same time, I felt it more of a business decision to be able to have more marketable people with that all-star tag. That's how I saw it. And then also, I mean, I forgot that dude's name. He went to the Knicks, had a great postseason, and then just didn't do nothing.
Jerome James.
Yes. Those were like the contracts that people were kind of like moaning about, you know what I mean? And you had to have, because of the nuclear missile, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of maybe to devalue, that need to have your nuclear arsenal to protect yourself against Shaq. Or not even Shaq, because Shaq's gone in 12. But at the same time, like I said, I always felt it was a move just to get more marketable people in that role. I mean, the All-Star game, it's kind of turned into a joke.
I agree. Yes.
Anyway, yeah. For years it was Team LeBron, come play with me. 1 year for Giannis, it was like Team Africa versus Team LeBron. I mean, it's just like, I like how they fans pick and all that other stuff. But it's not what it was. And I would say the changes that they've been doing. I thought the in-season tournament would be stupid. I think it's cool. So I love that. I mean, the changes that they do, you got to give them a chance. But I haven't seen the All-Star get any better since you used to see people wearing their own jerseys running up and down the court playing against each other.
Yeah, you don't know. You just think that's going to be the case forever, and then it don't work out like that. Because those were some of my favorite. Boy, that would be appointment viewing. You would see these legends, and they wouldn't go hard necessarily the whole game. They would kind of put on the show 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter, it is to the death. Yeah. Like back in the day, like you were saying, it is to the death, and it was crazy. And now they got to beg guys to compete and everything. I'm like, okay, just shut it down. Just name all-stars, and we don't even really have to watch a game if it's going to be like that.
Yeah. And honestly, when you look at it, people don't like when I was playing, there was the AAU was coming up. you know, we were playing like 40, 50 games a summer. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like people don't understand how much basketball you play, and like for
Yeah.
all stars, honestly, if I was with the NBA, I'd want them to have a break, so
Yes.
you can
Yes.
like, get healthy and stuff. Do some special events, do like it's right, like do something else. But I'd want them to have a break. But um, I it makes money, so
Yeah.
like I said, the NBA is a business first. Learn that it's a
Yeah.
business first.
And I'm curious about AAU too and the role this might have played in it because, like you said, you played a million games. And if you were a big, you're probably less likely to have someone who is able to teach you post moves. So, am I making up reasons or is there something to that as well?
Oh no, exactly. Look at the like it's to train a center, you're training one person, two people, three people. To train a team, you know what I mean? It's not as specialized. For me in AAU, honestly, I was raw. I literally didn't know what I was doing. My first year, I was on 15s on a team called Tennessee Travelers, and it's a national Nike team, and I played 17s. And how I learned was people busting my ass. Like I'd get my ass busted. I'd see what they did. I was like, I can do that. Just constantly just learning that way. I mean, I still remember McDonald's All American game. Me and Kwame are playing before the game. He's busting my ass, and it is pissing me off. I love Kwame, but like ever like that those moments. Tyson, I remember when we were 16, out in fucking San Dominguez, watching like Tyson the way he played the NBA. That dude in high school was a point guard. Like,
Okay. Thank you. Because I thought I was crazy. I used to read about him in Slam magazine. And
oh,
it was like,
Tyson was a point guard in high
he's
school.
showing
Like,
up. He's going to play small forward. He brings the ball up.
yeah, Tyson did everything.
7-1.
Tyson did everything in high school. The way he played in the NBA, I'd always watch and be like, when are you going to do all that stuff you used to do? But like you said, the center role, he filled that center
Yes.
role perfectly. But like he was a point guard in high school. Like learning stuff against them. Eddie. I mean, Eddie was the first person I ever learned. I'm not stronger than everybody. You know what I mean? Like you learn from each other, and that's kind of why like you have this buddy ball, going because you play against each other your whole life. Uh, but you truly learn against your competition. Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah. Man. Okay. I'm glad I got it. Because I tell people when Tyson Chandler comes up, I was like, I swear to you, I heard about this dude playing on the perimeter, and then he showed up, and he was a big man.
He was a point guard.
But
I remember playing. He elbowed me, made me bite my tongue, and like took a piece off of it. And I still remember after the game, I'm going up to him. I'm trying to talk, like, dude, you're really good. I'm trying to. I'm like, dude, how'd you learn that? You know what I mean? That's that's kind of how I was. Just competition. If you're not ever if you're not always trying to get better, there's no point in competing.
1,000%. So if you came up today, do you think you would be out there crossing people up on the perimeter, or would you have just played football?
I probably would have stuck with football. You see this transition from basketball to football, like Antonio Gates, things like that. I probably would have stuck to football. I love football. I love Downset Hut and what happens after. The physicality of it, the team, like I loved it. And the rules, though, being 7 feet tall. It's funny, I ended up breaking my leg in basketball anyway. But in football, being my height, it was a death sentence. But now they have different rules for high-low engages. It's a completely different game in that regard. But I mean, honestly, if I were to say I was a basketball player, I feel I could be more of myself, even though I was myself then, and I got in trouble for it. But I feel I could be more of myself now. and it wouldn't be like I was like a rebel or like trying to like be taboo or something. I feel like times have kind of would be a bit more conducive to the way I saw the world and interacted with
it. Kind of expand a little bit on that, because I remember your time in the league and then reading some of your stuff afterwards and kind of painted with a picture as this guy is a problem. He's lazy. He doesn't have it. I know Jim O'Brien seemed to really hate you.
He did not like me too much.
And
the feeling is mutual, at least.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. That's fair. And so, because I remember when the Pacers drafted you, we spoke over email. I kept up with the Pacers a lot. I went to Anthony Johnson basketball camp, as I tell everyone, and he was on that Pacers team when you were a rookie. That was the brawl year as well.
Game number 9.
I know. Welcome to the league. And so I remember you. I remember hearing about the potential, especially, again, you were a big man in an era where the big man was still valued. And then your career lasts 4 years and you hear all these things about, well, this dude's basically a bust and this, that, and the other.
Yeah, no.
What is that like for you when, first of all, it's your talent, it's your career, it's your life that people are appraising, people who didn't do it themselves? Like, how much does that stuff bother you? How much of it do you look back and be like, no, I definitely could have handled that better?
Oh my gosh, hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah.
But bust. I don't know how many 29th picks go that far. Go that far, but so with pride, oh man, fuck them. But at the same time, my favorite sport's F1. My favorite sport is F1 because I can't get in that car. I can't drive it. I can't do anything. I can only appreciate it. That I can relax. Basketball doesn't relax me. I see them. I'm like, no, don't show him that picture. You know what I mean? Football, no, run that play. He's blitzing. Like that doesn't relax me. But like F1 does. So I understand like the fans' view of it. And the thing is, if I was a bust, that means at one point I had potential. And that if I didn't reach my potential, I know that. I know I did not. I wish I had a different path through the NBA, but I probably walked my path. I wish I would have played longer. But one of my best friends, a guy named Jackson Roman, he went to Iowa State. Rest in peace. But I got to travel around the world with Jackson. My experience is mine. And, at the same time, I value it. I'm happy. Everyone can do better. Everyone can look back and say, I wish I'd done this. I wish I did that. But, as I sit here today, I kind of, the only thing I wish I would have done is ask for a trade. That's the only thing I wish I would have done. I wish I would have been vocal about the situation with Jim. At that time, athletes, no, you know what I mean? Like, there's no vote. It doesn't matter what you say. Nowadays, honestly, I feel I could have walked in the front office and just had a conversation with them. And then maybe we could have worked something out. I was asking him I was like, please send me to the G League. I just want to get out of here. Like, I can't be around this man. Like, please just get me out of here. But like,
that's crazy.
Like those are the types of things that, I wish I could have done. And myself, I wish I would have just blindly followed the rules. I thought, in my opinion, and I've said this, and this is why I'm in the cannabis industry, the prohibition of cannabis is one of the most disgusting things that's ever happened. When you look at the harm and the damage and all of the things that happened to these individuals throughout history, it made me mad. And, when at that time our league wasn't even testing for certain very popular performance enhancing drugs, but you're going to test for weed, you're making a cultural statement. You know what I mean? And like I said, I didn't ever say I was going to be like the hero or ever. I was just mad, and I was young and I was dumb. I mean, I would say, at 42, looking back, I wish I could have talked to younger David and be like, "Hey, hang out now. You want a bigger house when you're older, don't you?" But like, but at the same time, I wouldn't have gone on the path that I went down. I wouldn't have, in my current company, we build digital assets, we program systems. Like it's a world that I wouldn't have probably gone in.
Yeah, it's just so interesting to me as a fan to kind of see, all right, this is how David Harrison or whoever is characterized in the public eye for stuff that, have we all not looked back at our younger selves and been like, oh, I definitely messed that up and I could have handled that better and I should have done it. That was the thing I was reading. I was rereading the article that Mark Spears did on you from that we talked about the from McDonald's All-American to working at McDonald's. And like I had to do something very similar at one point in time myself because you got bills to pay. And so you got to do stuff that I didn't think I'd be here, but here I am. I got to work this job and here we go. Mm-hmm. And it was just so weird to see the reaction to that article.
Oh,
not nearly as weird for me as it was for you, I'm sure, but like it was such a normal story to me. A man needs to support his family, and so he took a job. is the story.
The comments on that, those made me angry a bit because they started talking about like my kids and all that other stuff. But I put it out there, just the internet. Like what do you expect? Yeah. But like at the same time, like I said, the reaction is if you had that reaction, you didn't read Mark's story.
Yeah.
I didn't like the headline. We talked about that, but the story was what we were talking about. Originally, there's a guy in the NBA talking about he wants to quit. He's smoking weed, and I was like reaching out to Mark. I was like, man, if I could say anything to him, this is what I'd say. And I wish the headline would have been Harrison tries to help and see how it was. But at the end of the day, a lot of people clicked on it. If people read it, maybe it did help soften a bit of that undertone of myself. When you look at me, look at my college career. I almost beat the crap out of Bobby Knight. Like legitimately, like you can go to ESPN, you can. Okay, yeah, my that was at Texas Tech. Everything you'd see online is some crazy dude trying to beat the crap out of somebody, then the brawl. And then after that, the shootings. We had, the strip club shooting.
Oh, yeah.
And then someone trying to kill Jamal in front of like the Conrad downtown in Indy. Like that, all of that didn't help. You know what I mean? And then suspended for weed. So like at the end of the day, yeah, you Google me, you see what's online. It's not going to be everything positive. I get the result. It made me just hide a lot. But at the same time, it's kind of hard to hide at 7 feet. That's for sure.
That I don't have that issue myself, but it does seem like it would be hard. What's made you want to not hide anymore? What's been like, okay, it's time to come on out and see the world again, show the world me?
You know what? I would say like I'm just comfortable with like where I'm at, personally. Mainly, with my company, we're trying to expand what we're doing in the digital asset. We're looking to build our system for high risk industries, specifically helps cannabis with banking. Like we have it. I mean, we need to start being broadcasted and out there. And as the majority owner, as the dev of the platform of all that, I was like, hey, maybe I can do it. I've always been comfortable with the media. I don't think they've been comfortable with me though. But I think that the climate's changed a lot to where, me talking about smoking weed and all that other stuff, Nowadays, people will laugh. Back in the day, it was you criminal. You know what I mean? So I think the climate's changed, and I feel I can be myself more um, now than I could back in the day.
Yeah, it reminds me of kind of around that era, the Portland Jailblazers, they called them.
And we imported them to our team.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even consider that. That is really funny.
Rick
Now, some of those
Carlisle
guys
was there, and Jermaine were there.
That's right, because some of those guys on those Trailblazers teams, they had some real crimes, but the majority of them, I felt like were just like, oh, this guy got caught with weed, and
Darius Miles is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life. Bonzi Wells, I played in China with Bonzi. I see Bonzi. We still in Indy. We'll want to see like the gym. Uh, we're all. It's when you look at what happened after the brawl, that's why we were called thugs. We were called all of these things. And when you look at what we did, I don't. Where was the thuggery? And honestly, I'm a historian. If you look at the word thug, it comes from India, and it was a term that meant hidden. And at that time, the British made a law that the Indians, the locals, couldn't have knives. And a thug was someone who had a hidden knife, someone who stood up against authority, basically. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I always look at things historically, and when you use it out of terms, you're using it for another reason.
yeah,
And the reason they wanted to make us look like we were stupid people running around hurting people, and that was not the case. We were people protecting one another, trying to get to a safe place. The thing is this: no one died, and this was part of like what we said. If we were going around, that means we're not good athletes. We should have been cut. You know what I mean? Because we didn't kill anybody. Like how easy, like all these people. I see how close they were. It's just like none of that happened. So it's like everybody there, honestly, in my opinion, Ron, and I still remember I had my Morgan Stanley interview, and Malice in the Palace came up, and they're like, "What would you do differently if that happened today?" And I was like, if someone came in my office and threw a beer in my coworker's face, I said, probably I would just call the cops. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's a completely different scenario. But what I saw two of my teammates in a crowd of people just storming on them. Like, I wouldn't do anything different. I'd run into the crowd and I would protect and fight with my teammates. That's what I wouldn't do anything different. And that's the problem. When I'd say that, like, you can't say that. And I'm like, I wouldn't. That's who I am. I'm from a big family, everybody's family with me. And I still remember pulling Steven out of the guys, and he starts watching backwards. I'm like, Steve, it's me. And I finally get down, I see it's done, but then I see them storming at Ron. I jump over this table, I run over to Ron. Like, it's just like, I wouldn't have done anything different, but it's just like, yeah, like the push to demonize, and the words behind it, thugs, gangsters, all that stuff. But it didn't help after the fact either that we had like strip club shootings and things like that.
Yeah, it was unfortunate series of events.
It didn't help at all. One of the things I've always wanted to talk about that event was the ESPN coverage. Man, 24 hours. I remember the night of, man, those fans are out of control, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I remember going to bed like, man, that was bad, but tomorrow we have another game. We're just going to move forward. They're talking about like when Mad Max went in the crowd and beat the crap out of somebody. Dude got suspended like 6 games. You know what I mean? Not going to be nothing big. I remember turning on the TV the next day. Thugs. I was just like, what just happened?
It was crazy because I remember watching every second of it because I was like, man, it was like a major world event had taken place.
To this day, I've been around the whole world. People can, the second, NBA, Pacers, do you remember? I was like, yeah, I was there. And they can tell me, this is where I was. This was who I was talking to. Like this is a unifying event in the psyche of humanity. Yeah.
It was
Unfortunately.
unreal. Yeah, all right. And then David Stern was like, "Y'all are gonna wear suits now."
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, you know, we were talking earlier, you can't fault him because you look at what he built. But I would say he did not give a crap about the culture or the people in the league. Um, but at the same time, you know, look what he built. You know, him and Hunter. I mean, those. But you know, I like Adam Silver's NBA. I feel Adam Silver's NBA is going to save people's lives.
Yeah,
It doesn't feel exclusionary. It feels more inclusive. It doesn't feel, you know, like they're saying like players are out of line yelling at refs. Well, maybe refs need to get better. You know, that's a conversation that we could have. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, even there's out of line. You know, people whining for. I mean, it was like, David, you whine for calls. I'm like, no, I just wanted the game officiated fairly. If I got hit in my mouth and then you didn't get a call and then I hit them in their mouth and I get a call, that's not called fair, you know. But
yeah,
at the same time, you know, like I said, you know, nowadays an athlete's opinion isn't just shut up and dribble. You know, it's maybe we should listen to it. You know, people like Kaepernick. We were talking about Craig Hodges earlier. You know, like people like that stood up, and you know, like luckily for Kaepernick, there were bodies under that foundation that he could stand on.
yeah, yeah. Because, like you're saying, Craig Hodges. For those who don't know, he was a pretty significant role player for the Bulls, the first three-peat. But then he was basically blackballed because he was standing up for things. Showed up to the White House in a dashiki, and I believe handed the president a letter asking for, I forget exactly what he was asking for. I don't want to mess it up. And then you just didn't see him again. He had to compete at the 3-point contest with just a generic NBA uniform on. That would most likely, I can't think, I'm scared to think of what it would take for that to happen today in Adam Silver's league. I'm not even going to throw out any guesses because I'm going to stay on YouTube. It would be crazy.
It would be, and the thing is, I like it that it has to be crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because you have people like Kyrie. You have people who have opinions. You have people who have thoughts. And honestly, I'm happy that Kyrie got suspended for the things he thought and all the other stuff. But this is a country where there's freedom of speech, even if you don't like what I say. And honestly, I'm happy that the NBA, they stepped in. The thing is, I don't even know really if he said anything directly or whatever. I think it was like a link to a video or something like that. But like at the same time, they were taking things seriously, and they're taking it serious in a way that's responsible. It's not let's just crucify this guy, let's just throw him out, let's just demonize him. Let's talk to him, and they did. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, let's talk to him. So, like I said, this NBA, I feel, is going to save lives. You have a lot of people that I know from that other NBA aren't here anymore. And I think that this version of it's more inclusive.
I'm hoping so, man. And you know what? I'm going to continue to watch, even though people are upset with the gameplay. That's what I said in the first video. Like, it's not what I like. I prefer to see the big men in the post, of course, but I'm going to keep watching. Do you think we'll ever get back to big men playing like big men again?
Get a shot.
You got someone out there. The French, y'all keep sending these lanky guys. We need a country to send a dude who is just diesel.
I mean, even when you look at Joker's game, I would say Joker is doing that. He's a 3-time MVP and he's a post player. He shoots threes. Joker's game is for a man to dominate the NBA with that vertical.
Unreal.
It's anybody's game. You know what I mean? It's anybody's game. So it's just like, even that just shows you it's skill, it's talent, it's work, and that's what he's put in. And so it's just like, I mean, I can see, the Joker is pushing it that way. People think like Steph, no one shoots like him. So when Steph is gone, you're not going to be seeing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like even like Trey Young, he can shoot, not like Steph.
Not like Steph.
like
Not
Melo Ball,
like
he can
Steph.
shoot, not like Steph. You know, so it's the same thing with Shaq. You know, I think you if you find another Shaq type that can just drag people up and down the room, like in this NBA, if Shaq played in this NBA, I don't know who'd guard him. I truly do not know who would guard him.
Draymond said he'd do it.
Draymond would end up in the okay. So there's a guy named Danny Fortson. You remember him?
Yes. Cincinnati guy. I think he went to Cincinnati.
Yep. So Danny said the same thing. Oh, Shaq, no. I remember hearing this. I'm like, this guy's my hero, guy. Like Shaq, you think you can go at Shaq? All right, I'm going at Danny. If I'm going at you like this, Danny, you're having a problem stopping me. What do you think this man's going to do to you, Danny? You know what I mean? So it's like at the end of the day, Draymond. No. If you want to play those games with Shaq, you're going to end up body. Like, there's videos of Shaq bodying people.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yes, Chuck did dump him. Chuck dumped Shaq.
He got him.
But Chuck's smarter than Shaq. Chuck knew, if I don't get this on the ground, it's game over.
Yeah, that was like a jiu-jitsu type move. That wasn't some brute thing. Like, they weren't. He was like, all right, I know.
You look at Draymond's choice. Chokeholds? Nah, Shaq's going to stand up and body slam you, son. Like, spinning back fist? You're not going to knock him out.
He's just going to hit him in the chest and make him mad.
Make him mad. Exactly. So no, Dre. No, man. No, you're not. You're not going to guard him. I can see Steven Adams taking the beating, but look at Steven Adams and then look at my teammate Scott Pollard. They're very similar. You know what I'm saying?
That was the guy. Scott was on that Kings team who was trying to stop him.
So you know what I mean? I can see a Steven Adams type. Embiid, he won't like it. And that's the thing what Shaq's going to do to them. They're not going to want to play basketball. Like, that's the beauty of the post. Your goal is to make the other person not want to play anymore. It's kind of, and that's why I liked it, because it's like football. That's what you do in football. I'm going to make you not want to play. That's my goal. And you do that. That's what the post does. And it's demoralizing having a post score on you because it feels unstoppable. People rating threes, you're like, go get cold. Someone dunking on you, that's 100% shot or they're going to the line. So, I mean, once we get back to someone with that mentality, and that size and that physical ability, that's when it's going to go back. And I think Joker's kind of pulling it, but what Steph did is like Steph let you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Steph just opened the floodgate for that 3-point shot. And analytics shows the value of it. So. But yeah, I think you see a player like Joker getting 3 MVPs, and like I think we'll see a resurgence.
And I think it's interesting that no one really points out that Joker is doing it that way because everyone's so mesmerized by what it looks like with the threes sprinkled in, with the passing. But to me, the thing that unlocks all that for him is the size.
So the thing is, he's down there banging you. Now he's on the arc. Oh, take a break. He just hit a 3. What am I going to do with my life?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, he demoralizes the people he plays against. Demoralizes them. And it's like, that's what the post game can do. And like I said, I think you can see a resurgence of that.
I'm hoping so, man. I'm hoping so. So before I get you out of here, we talked about McDonald's All-American to McDonald's. That was a snapshot, but that was not the end of the story. The story has gone on past, and you've mentioned your companies a couple of times. Let the people know where they can find your stuff, what your company is, everything, plug, promote, anything you got to say. The floor is yours.
So
I'm throwing the post-entry pass.
Got to chin it. But so the company online, www.tokenhifi.com. Like I said, what we built was a fully compliant payment processing system for high-risk industries. We also had a token that we're selling called the Founders Token. You can find all that information on there. That helps us, fund our deployment for this processing for high risk across all 50 states. But the main thing I kind of want to plug in this environment is, our biggest allies are each other, humans. And I would like to just ask people, no matter like you're Republican, you're Democrat, you're black, you're white, you're this, you're that, see each other as humans, and understand humans are fallible, humans make mistakes. And from that, I feel, if I could plug anything, I just want to plug unity. It's just very scary out there with, a lot of fragmentation. And the closer we get together as a group, as a species, then the further we can go. I want to be like Star Trek, in space, stuff. But that would say that, I want my company to do well. I've been doing it for 2 years, cap raising, building, programming, coding, meetings. But if I had anything, that's what I want. That's all. Honestly, that's all I would ever want. It's peace. People just get along, have fun. That's kind of why I probably like weed.
This is crazy. This man was too scary for the NBA. Man, this has been great. I got to talk to you again for sure. You're welcome back on anytime. Interesting story. Again, super happy to see that was not the end of your story, and you're still doing, and you're still out here thriving.
Oh, and today's my son's birthday, so I can say that because you probably broadcast it later. So happy birthday, my best friend. And yeah, it's just all about moving forward. And I would love to come on and tell Anthony Johnson stories. I do that all day. I have a million.
Oh yeah, we got to definitely dive into those teams because that's the lane I prefer. Like nostalgic NBA. You brought up Danny Fortson, and I could not believe I was ecstatic because that's a throwback name. The dude was built like a bicep. No, we definitely, you got to come back on and do that for sure. So I can't thank you enough for coming on this time. This was crazy. It was, see what happens when you leave nice YouTube comments. People get connected and we start working on that unity. And because you're right. We are going to need it. We're going to need it. But I believe. So I don't know, man. This has been awesome. Appreciate y'all watching, listening, rating, subscribing, reviewing, and sharing. I'm going to put David's company's info in the show notes, so please check that out. And I will catch y'all later.